Welcome back to the show, everybody. Check out this headline. It may be Sunday, but we still got some news for you. Game-changing crypto bill in the United States. We got that and a whole lot more. XRP price as well. Somebody roll that beautiful intro.
Digital Perspectives with Brad Kimes. Come on in.
Welcome back to the show, everybody. You can follow us on Twitter and YouTube for exclusive content. Right now, $1.2 trillion market cap for crypto. The market is up 2.2%, Right now, Bitcoin, 27,200 plus, Ethereum, 1904 and change. Tether market cap is 83.1 billion plus. 52 cents in holding right now for XRP, up 11.2%. How about that? Ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't done it, looky here. 50% off right now, limited time offer. Doors going to close. It's Glint Pay. You can have your own alternative to banking with physically allocated gold connected to your MasterCard debit card. Buy, save, send, and spend anywhere. By the way, if you have another family member or friend that uses Glint, you can send back and forth as well. It's unbelievable. Click the link. This is an offer that will not last long. Click the link underneath the video and find out for yourself. Right here, we start with this. Don't forget about the Securities Clarities Act. Now, this is different than the bill we're going to talk about today, but nonetheless, this is an important bill because this bill submitted by Tom Emmer back in 2021 is actually a bill that could clip the wings of the SEC immediately and stop the overreach that is happening from that agency. But nevertheless, this here gets a seal of approval. It says here from what John Deaton and Jeremy Hogan have said here. Securities Clarities Act, known as the XRP Holders Protecting Coinbase, Binance Relieving Crypto Startup Protecting USA Pro-Innovation Hidman Speech Codifying Stick to the SEC Act. How about that? And shout out to John Deaton. For those of you that don't know, I've retweeted multiple things, and it's everywhere on crypto Twitter if you haven't seen it. But John Deaton was hacked sometime yesterday. So please know that whatever you see on there about promoting any kind of token or what have you is not John Deaton himself. He's working very hard right now to get control over his phone and his apps. And I certainly know the feeling as I just went through this back in April, just 2 months ago, almost to the day. Anything John Deaton needs will obviously all be here for him to help make it happen. Vijay Wen here says if you generated your account in Atomic Wallet, even later migrated to Zum, rekey now, he says, move your funds to a new Zum generated account. Your funds are at risk if your wallet was once generated with Atomic. This also applies to non-XRP Ledger Atomic generated accounts. Act now. So apparently there is something going on here with the Atomic Wallet. The tweet that's shared from XRP Forensics here says, make sure to move the assets to a new account when moving away from Atomic Wallet. It is not sufficient to import the existing account in a different app. Make a new and move the money. This here is a alert. Pay attention, everybody, if you're using Atomic Wallet. I don't know much about it. I've never used it. But if Vijay Wen and the team are talking about this, you need to pay very close attention. This is a bill here, and again, this is another bill that's being submitted in support of getting rid of the accredited investor wall that holds us all back if you're not accredited. And here it says here from Jason Cousins from Glint, talking about the first bill passed in the House last night from Mike Flood. Shout out to Mike Flood for thinking of others. And it happened with bipartisan support. It's called the Equal Opportunity for All Investors Act of 2023. You can look it up, HR 2797. Provides a pathway for Americans to become accredited investors by allowing individuals seeking status to take I think this is a test, an examination. That's exactly right. An examination which will be established by the SEC and administered by FINRA. Now, I can tell you guys that what I can say is that Digital Perspective Mastermind Group is working in the process right now to provide private equity access to non-accredited retail investors that are sophisticated investors. You have to be an annual member of the DPMG, but we are in the process of making that happen. Now, I can't discuss it any further than that to the public, but that's what I can say, and you have to join, and I encourage everybody to join the DPMG. You will not have to take a test, and that's the good part to that, but I hope that this goes through anyway because the accredited investor rules are just shameful. Everyone should have access. This here is huge news here from Johnny Crypto. He says, this is Congress introduces a game-changing crypto bill, and we need to take a look at the summation here. Now, there's 2 deep dives on this from Justin Slaughter, and they're both fantastic, but I took a fresh one that he just put out last evening, which is a tighter, shorter thread, but not to take anything away from the original one that Justin did. It was fantastic, and I appreciate his efforts to share with all of us. The deep dive into the bill is finished, and you can see that here is the few overall thoughts on the bill and its prospects for passage. One thing we need to know about this before we go into this, that this is heavily a right side Republican bill at the moment, going to pass through the House, but obviously it will have to meet Senate and at least 50 Democrats over at the Senate, right? So there's going to be work to be done, but I think you're going to like the overall takeaways here. So looking at this very quickly here, overall, the McHenry-Thompson bill, which actually has no name yet, is a strong effort at crafting comprehensive regulatory regime for crypto. It says here there are some key issues, but per others, it's clear the staffs of both committees really tried to square some of the hard circles about regulating crypto. That's to be commended. The bill lays out a process for getting networks deemed decentralized, but it is complicated. And then he shares here one of the tweets from the day before. Of course, it's the SEC that will certify whether a network is adequately decentralized, not the CFTC. So this is seemingly broad power is tempered by the fact that the SEC may loathe to deem networks decentralized. He goes on to say here, that said, the bill may also solve the problem for airdrops not being allowed in the U.S. in one fell swoop. And he says here to highlight that, well, much further down, the bill makes clear that end-user distributions are neither investment contracts nor interstate security transactions. So that'd be very big if they get that passed on that regard. Then he says here, the main outstanding questions I have are, what part of this bill applies directly to DeFi? Can a network be deemed decentralized at launch? How will Democrats in Congress respond to it? They weren't that involved in drafting it. And he says here, now it's clear that the bill won't clear 60 votes in the Senate in its current form. So this bill is probably lighter touch than can actually become law this Congress. However, this is almost certainly the bill with the best chance of becoming law before the 2024 presidential election scrambles the board. Even in its current form, it's not everything the industry wants, and the SEC will likely oppose it as they are now opposing all legislation. So we all face a time of choosing. For the industry, Congress, and regulators, this bill will have a tough path to become law, as all bills do. 2025 may result in a more favorable Congress to crypto, of course, but elections are always uncertain. Democrats should also be thinking that this may be their best chance to legislate on crypto. If courts do find against key agencies in some key cases, this bill may end up being far tougher than anything that could pass into law in the next decade. The next step for the bill and stakeholder engagement, the authors will likely be seeking comments from industry participants, academics, nonprofits, and even ordinary users. Following that, there will be a markup of the bill in committee, then passage on the House floor. As noted at the top of the thread, a lot of Democrats will need to support the bill for it to have a chance in the Senate. He goes on here to say here, the biggest issue is that it is an all GOP bill, so this bill may pass the House, but it will still need some serious support, likely 50 to 100 Democrat House members to have a chance of becoming law, but more on that later. He says, I'll be watching the list of sponsors closely If a decent number of Democrats say they support the bill before the markup, this bill could really become law. Anyway, thanks for reading the thread. Kind remarks. Thank you, Justin, for all of the oversight there. No doubt about it. Now, we have more to look at, too. So let's stay at this and pull back to more of a geopolitical, global level here. This is current state of play. This is right here from Kryptonaire D. The G7 are all expected to have aligned legal systems by 2024. And this is starting with the UK, Germany, and the US in 2023, and France in 2024. Thailand is also expected to be aligned by 2024. The Asia Development Bank is assisting China, Georgia, and Vietnam, who are all expected to be aligned by 2025 with more multilateral development bank assistance programs for low to middle income countries in the pipeline. Now, I bring this up because I have always talked about the idea that if this is going to happen with crypto regulation on a global level, it's going to take something like a G7 all acting together. And I think this is evidence, at least for me, doesn't have to be for anyone else, that is exactly what we're watching unfold. And speaking of watching unfold, how many days or weeks are we away, actually, from the SEC versus Ripple case and a decision from Judge Torres? None of us know, but I tell you it feels closer than ever. XRP to relist on exchanges? Well, this here from Jeremy Hogan here, who said on Monday he highlighted the significance of resolving the question of whether XRP is inherently classified as a security, as both of these issues directly influence XRP's potential relisting on exchanges and the overall outcome of the case. There has been discussion about how and if secondary market sales of XRP will or won't be addressed in the Ripple case. It's important rather, because we are only confident XRP will be relisted on exchanges if the issue of whether XRP is inherently a security is addressed, Hogan tweeted. Notably, Hogan acknowledged the likelihood that the judge overseeing the case might not directly address the issue of security, stating the plaintiff did not explicitly raise it. However, he outlined scenarios that could address secondary sales concerns and influence the judge's decision. Firstly, the legal pundit proposed that Ripple could agree with the SEC to include language in the proposed final judgment explicitly excluding secondary sales from its scope. According to him, this approach could clarify the treatment of secondary sales, just like the precedent set in the Kick Interactive case, where the SEC allowed language pertaining to continuing sales. Secondly, the lawyer suggested that the judge consider the concerns raised by various amici, including those championed by XRP holders represented by John Deaton. In late March, attorney John Deaton predicted an outright win for Ripple while accusing the agency of significant overreach in this case at the time. I don't believe he committed to an outright win. He said it was possible, I think. I could be wrong, but I think that's correct. Deaton also expressed optimism in Judge Annalisa Torres' ruling that XRP is not a security and ongoing secondary sales are not security. He further emphasized that the judge recognized the importance of the public interest in reaching a decision, terming the amicus briefs and over 3,500 affidavits filed by the XRP holders as a big deal. According to Hogan, Ripple could also benefit from the precedent set in the library case, where the judge ruled earlier this year that secondary sales are not securities, raising optimism that the judge in the XRP lawsuit may do the same. That said, as the high-stake lawsuit continues, the crypto community anxiously anticipates updates on secondary market sales, as a favorable ruling could potentially aid XRP's relisting on exchanges once the case concludes. This could have significant implications for cryptocurrency, potentially boosting its price to all-time highs after 3 rough years. Yeah, or more, actually, but at least 2.5 plus, right, for us in the case. Now looking at price here, we see that XRP cannot grind its way above the final wake-up line. It must blast off. How about that? It has been rejected from the final wake-up line right here, as you can see. for almost 781 days. This is the fourth attempt, but it was not successful so far. However, I believe in the power of number 5. We might have the 5th attempt for a final breakout. So he's saying, hang in there and stay strong, stay steady. But you know what? We appreciate Eggrag Crypto and Dark Defender and all the other analysts. And this kind of aligns here. XRP is preparing herself to jump to 94 cents based on coffee cup handle. So there's a different outlook here, but coming up with relatively the same kind of analysis. That at some point we're going to see a breakout to the upside. Now, look, we've all seen this kind of a chart here, and this here is from XRP Whale. Shout out to XRP Whale, saying XRP preparing to hit $25. And we know Dark Defenders talked about $27. Eggrag Cryptos talked about $25, $27 as well. What I like about this is that this is like a fractal of history in the past being used to represent what could potentially take place again. And everybody focuses on $25, which, listen, I believe it can go to 4 or 5 digits. You know what I mean? But it's going to take some massive things to happen. But I've always believed that, and I've never wavered on that because I believe and have always believed Arthur Brito when he said XRP was designed to be $10,000 and to serve the population of the world. I've always believed Brad Garlinghouse when he talked about in Korea that the XRP developers looked at XRP as a world reserve currency, so to speak. So, you know, all of these things, you know, or David Schwartz when he said it has to be a high number for it to really truly work in the fashion it's designed to. I'm paraphrasing. But looking at this, one of the things I want to look at, because you got to get to $1 first before you can go to anywhere. But you know what? It doesn't mean I got to be any less enthusiastic. Neither do you. But one thing I do want to point on this chart that not a lot of people look at is right here. Look at that spike downside. Now, this is a fractal from history's past in the yellow, right? But what we don't know is if history will repeat, or will it rhyme, or will it not repeat or rhyme? We don't know the answer. But what I do know is that if it is going to repeat, then we're going to see this at some point too, because we haven't seen that yet. And if we see that yet, you better make sure you know what you hold and how you feel in your investment and how exposed you may be in your portfolio to this investment. Because what's to say that that spike goes down and doesn't come back up? I don't know. It's only what you believe and how strongly you believe in your investment. It's not financial advice from me or anyone else, just my digital perspectives. But we all have a different threshold and appetite for risk. And that's what's most important here, that everybody make sure that they are comfortable with their position. That's going to do it for me. I'll catch all of you on the next one.